Mr. Tavis Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. Know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Killer, 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 killer dog. I'll kill you, dog. Yo, check it out now. Yo. What mean the world to you? Cause money mean the world to me. I'ma shine for the world to see. Per the V, true the key. F that, kick back, and true the weed, ma. Wanna roll with a top gun? Got one. Thug pop one. Scrub not one. Wanna ride shotgun. Wanna shoot shot. Then I got hot ones. But I want a chick that'll hop up on the stick. Put the pawn and flick, huh? Make sure my is going to lick. More sick, but that. We're my thugs with the hollow tips. Girls that acknowledge it. Polish it. After that, swallow it. Stand by, baby, where you at, huh? Raise your hand high. You don't what? That's a fly. Got ran ride, my man ride, my fam tie. So I need a real chick, someone to keep it real with, someone to rob and steal with, someone to share my meal with. Instead they'll look at you and be out for your revenue, then even at you and she'll be blessing you, caressing you, starting that mess with you. But yo, it's dead for now, when plus them feds around. So girl, just lift up that dress for now, or give me some bread for now. Talk to me, ma. What mean the world to you?
Welcome in, happy Wednesday. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. You know, this is where we're giving you facts, culture, and context. All the topics that are running up and down your timeline, hitting your group chat. And you know, Andy is always on theme. And when we talk about this gentleman and this topic, we're going to run it back to this song because I have a little hip-hop fact for you that's attached to this song. So we'll get into that. We're going to be discussing Camron because, you know, it's Wednesday, and Wednesdays are when we get all up in the business. So Camron's one of the topics that we're going to be discussing. We're also, you know, I mentioned that the Diddy trial is coming to an end. On Tuesday, the defense closed their case, not presenting any witnesses, submitting some items into evidence, but shut it down. So there's been some news as it relates to some of the strategy on the prosecution's end that we're going to discuss that just took place. Also, right, as it is the NBA Draft going down today, actually, at this moment still. And it's all up in the business Wednesdays, as I mentioned. We're going to get into, you know, some of the draft picks and talk about the branding opportunities, where we think the potential is, and just what the new hustle is. We're going to get into that. And also, Con. I know that we've seen a lot of us out in Con as of late. We talked about Beyonce with Jay-Z popping out on stage, Miley Cyrus popping out with her in Paris. We saw Cardi B over there, lots of others. We're going to get into what's happening over there and why there seems to be a lot of TikTokers and influencers jumping into that trend now. But before we do all of that, it is June 25th, and I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge 16 years later that today marks the day that the world lost Michael Jackson. We know it was a cardiac arrest caused after an overdose of prohypnol administered by his doctor, Conrad Murray. Conrad was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter. And obviously, we know what Michael means to the world, to the culture, to pop music history, to R&B music history, to ownership, to finding your voice, all of the things. So, you know, we just have to take a moment and salute Michael. We're still having debates on who is the next Michael. There is no next Michael. There's only one Michael Joseph Jackson. You know, Chris Brown, Beyonce, Usher, all of them cite him as a reference, but Michael is Michael. And That's how it goes down. So I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge MJ because I can't believe it's been 16 years, right? Time is moving. Things are going by quickly. Andy?
Where were you when Michael Jackson died?
So I was working at Sony, actually, and I was working on the This Is It project. So I was working on a Michael Jackson project, the This Is It project at Sony in post. I was a coordinator there at the time, and I was sitting at my desk when I got the news. It's crazy, right? One more thing, because I like to start it off with a little conversation starter. And I'm going to talk about this with Damon Haley because it's all up in the business. What do you guys think about the Red Lobster revival? They have different flavors of sea boils jumping off. They have margarita flights. They have sangria flights, $5 drinks, full-on rebrand. Their 35-year-old CEO, Damola, I am going to mess up his last name. There you go. Thank you so much. Is a young black man. And I think he is reviving the brand. I really like the direction that he is taking it in. They are remodeling this different restaurants to freshen them up, give them a more updated look. The Cheddar Bay biscuits are going nowhere. That's important to note. And so, I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on sort of the Red Lobster rebrand, because Red Lobster used to be considered fine dining. That was a good night out, right? And then it just somewhere lost it and went all the way to,
it's
Hades and back. Now. And, I'd like to see it have some sort of revival. So we'll get DH's opinion in a moment. But, Andy, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm trying to pull up to Red Lobster now and see what all the commotion is about, because everything that I've seen on social media, for those who've actually went, they are ecstatic and they're hyped up about it. So, shout out to the young brother. Wasn't he the CEO of P.F. Chang's?
Yes, he was.
And I heard he did well over there, so that's why Red Lobster was like, yo, you got to come over here. So shout out to him, man.
So we'll get into a little bit more of that on the other side. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Did you know that more than 60 million Americans are about to hit the road for the 4th of July weekend? If you're planning on traveling this summer season, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. You can earn up to 35 cents every time you fill up.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app this 4th of July. Use promo code SWIM35 to get an extra 35 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Get a limited time 4th of July offer when you download the free Upside app and use promo code SWIM35 for a 35 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SWIM35 for a 35 cents per gallon bonus. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. I love this song. Shout out to Captain EO. Miss MJ. Hey. All right, you guys. You know how this goes down as we get into these trending topics and headlines because I am your front row seat to the culture after all. If at any point you want to join this conversation, 800-920-1580. Hit us up on social media, KBLA 1580. I'm at Stiletto Jill. Holla at your girl. Say hi. We have a new app. It's updated. Get in there. You can even watch the show inside the app. Get into it. So tap in there if you want to leave us a voice note because you're a little shy. You can also take care of that there. So now that we've given you the complete rundown, in addition to that, June 25th, 2009, we also lost Farrah Fawcett, who was Jill Munroe on Charlie's Angels. So shout out to Farrah Fawcett. Did I say shout out to Farrah Fawcett? That's probably not what I meant. It is, but not really. But you know how it is. Welcome in because I am not alone on All Up in the Business Wednesdays. Entrepreneur, strategist, author, owner of Slay Hair, 3 Ys, Glow and Flow Beauty, Inglewood and Hawthorne, Mr. Damon Haley. Welcome back, Damon. How are you this fine
great
Wednesday?
Today. Why not?
Hyped up. Let's go. We love it. Listen. So I said I was going to drop a little historical hip-hop fact since we're talking about Camron and what the pivot that he has managed to make as far as this new media space. You know, we used to just refer to new media for athletes, but as of late, we've seen quite a few rappers jump into the space and make gains. Some of them are wasting their time, but not all. Not all, right? So what means the world to you? The song that Andy chose to open the show. The original version of that was featured on Cam's Epic Records release, Sports, Drugs, and Entertainment. You know, he ended up over there from Unentertainment because there were some legal things and they slid him over there for that second album. Well, he recorded that album. There were some issues with the label in regards to just Cam's contract, what was happening and things of that nature. And so that album was shelved. He eventually ended up signing to Def Jam with, was there something else in between that? I can't remember. He did sign with Def Jam through Dame, and there was the whole thing about, you know, Dame naming him VP of Def Jam and him and Jay falling out, blase, blase, blase. However, on SDE, Sports, Drugs, and Entertainment, there was the original version of What Means the World to You, and it was called Give Me Some Bleep. Well, there's a skit that comes before that, and it just happens to feature your favorite entertainment journalist and host, Miss Jill Munroe. Do not judge me if you happen to find it and listen to it. Please don't judge me. It is Camron that we're talking about. So I'll just leave it at that.
Just a lot of ratchetness, huh?
I would say so, a little bit.
Somebody find it and call in.
A little bit. It's out there. It is definitely out there. All right. So speaking of Cam, we just gave you a rundown on a little bit of the early part of his career. We know he and Mace were in a group called Bloodshed, Murder Mace, and Killer Cam, right? And the rest is history. Mace signed with Biggie. They passed Cam the lob, and he ended up with and blah, blah, blah. The two recently came together to start a podcast called It Is What It Is. It Is What It Is took off. They put up their own money, which ended up being about $500,000 once they saw, hey, we could really do something with this. Built their set, did all of the things, and the sports betting companies came calling, right? Fresh off of their Gills Arena deal, Underdog signed Cam, Mace, and Treasure Wilson, who is Stat Baby, right? So it is a multi-million-dollar deal. Cam talked about calling Gil to get some information when he was putting the deal together. Gil is very forward with information, so he shared some information, and Cam secured a nice deal, which they re-upped after the re-up because it was doing all of the things it needed to be doing. Everybody got a raise. I will say Stat Baby, fresh out of college, right, 23, 24 years old, is making over $1 million a year. And I want to say shout out to them for hiring a black woman, because when they were choosing, this is how early I was watching the show, it was Stat Baby and it was a young Latina chick. The Latina chick, beautiful young lady, knew nothing about sports, but some would have picked that look and been fine with it. And they went with Stat, who had a degree. No shade to the other young lady. She was cute and, she had her things, but Stat knew her stuff. And I'm happy that they stood tall with that. The dynamic is great for them on that show. Well, it continues. Cam then started an offshoot YouTube channel and show, Talk with Flea. Now, Talk with Flea is a little more free. It talks about other topics, not just about sports. It talks about old hip-hop things. He's had a couple of people on for interviews and so forth. It's a whole separate YouTube channel. And he recently inked a deal with Revolt TV. Revolt is no longer owned with Diddy, although Cam admits he was talking to Diddy pre all of this about potentially doing something. He said he turned it down. However, he now has a deal with Revolt TV for the Talk with Flea show, right? So shout out to that. And just announced today, he is officially inking a $750,000 book deal with Simon & Schuster for his debut memoir set for February 2026. Oh, by the way, his birthday is February 4th or 5th. I can't remember. He's an Aquarius. Big ups to that. And he is releasing a book that will cover his evolution. Remember, Cam started off as a basketball player. He was, a pretty nicely ranked high school player, was in some trouble, so kind of messed up and had to go the long route in college, which kind of pulled him off the path even more. And, things happen, life goes on. So he also dropped an indie film, Is It a Crime? And it is now streaming on Apple TV and Amazon, right? So the Talk with Flea deal is a multi-million-dollar deal, by the way. So they say. The book is going to look into the Dipset era, the Pink Range Rover era, and how he flipped all of this into a legitimate media empire. My question to you, DH, and I guess it's to myself, but I'll start with you. Do you think the regular journalists, the people that are just chronicling the rise, because with anyone, you talk about Jordan, you talk about artists, someone has to kind of be there to chart the growth and the course for the others to kind of record it. But with this new era of athletes and entertainers taking the mic and putting out, their version, their whatever in a freer format, do you think that for media people, journalists, they're taking a back seat?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, on the Breakfast Club, Dame Dash went off as he usually does, but he talked about how those guys get paid for gossip. And when we talk about the sports and entertainment stuff, it's really gossip. It's the part of our lives that are
storytelling.
It's entertaining and all that kind of stuff. And I would say, for one, Cam's really talented. And I spent a weekend and an evening with him. And outside of he is very New York and hoodie and all that kind of stuff, but he's a smart dude. And so I'm happy for him, for one, and he's flipping this in a right way. And I never forget what Charles Stone told me, the story that Wood Harris tells about how this dude actually, in Paid in Full, was doing his own thing. He actually beating up people, and that ain't even in the script and all of that. And he was probably doing it because, one, he felt like that, but two, he wanted to be authentic. And I think that that's what these athletes, rappers, etc., they can go places, at least with people within their industry, that journalists can't go.
Exactly.
I mean, we know the OG, our guy out of Chicago, I'm losing his name, but what's my guy's name? Robert is his real name. I forgot I know Scoop. I'm sorry, Scoop Jackson. Scoop. Oh, no,
yes.
He is neighbor. But Scoop was the original because he would be in the back of the room and people would talk to him, real talk. And so I think that's what you're going to get with, like Gil does a great job of it. All the smoke, all these athletes doing this kind of stuff. That when people sit down with them, it's not work, it's talking to a peer, all that kind of stuff. So I think there's room for that. But journalists now, you might not want to go to college for journalism. You might want to build better friends and identify with culture and be able to meet people where they are in order to get those stories.
Sadly, I agree. I think that there is a different approach. I think one, and I will say, shout out to Nike University, storytelling is such an important part of what is happening right now. The ability to tell a good story. The ability to not just captivate attention, but to thread it in such a way that keeps you coming back, keeps you engaged. And, we joke about people sitting around after a good conversation like, we should have a podcast. But people really don't understand the work that goes into putting these things together, how a conversation flows, how to keep the movement circulating. And the ones that do seem to rise to the top. And I do think that if you are just an observer, and there's nothing wrong with that, it's healthy, we need it. But as far as like entertainment in that regard, you better find another angle or something to laser in on so that you have some type of perspective to speak from rather than just observation. I think at this current time. Andy?
No, I just appreciate you saying that. Being involved with radio over the years, I've ran into so many people that want to do a podcast, which there's nothing wrong with it, right? And for those who've actually, taken that step to actually do the podcast, when they realize and see that there's no money coming in, they get discouraged. They just automatically think that, everybody's doing a podcast, that means everybody's making money. Nah, homie, you could do the podcast. That's a hustle in itself. But if you're trying to bring money to the podcast, that right there is a full-time job in itself.
A whole other thing. A whole other level to the game.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I have my own bot, my bot DH on AI, and every creative idea ends up with doing a podcast. Like everyone. I almost have to eliminate that and say, well, what else? So.
Right. So, I mean, I just think that it is an interesting time that we're in. I think people want to, as you brought up, feel like things are authentic. And I do still think that there's room for journalists, for example. And yes, part of it is because she is beautiful. But I also think in saying that, like Taylor Rooks, She's starting a newsletter. I think she has interesting perspectives, and she brings a different type of question. Now, because individuals are comfortable with her, and maybe they're more comfortable because she's attractive, so they're more apt to be like relaxed. I can't say for certain, but I do think that she brings interesting perspective. But that is because, to your point, she's allowed a certain access, or she's allowed a certain vulnerability, or to see a certain side, and they trust what she is going to deliver back out.
Yeah, I've been in the space of Taylor Rooks, and I saw her from afar, and I thought she was attractive. Not good looking, but her energy, her feel, how she was moving the room, I kind of noticed that kind of stuff. And when she got close to me, I was like, oh, that's old girl. And I can see why the intangibles. Of course, she's a beautiful girl and all that kind of stuff. But she got some other stuff that she mixes in with that, in addition to trust, integrity, all the other stuff. Because I was in with some other guys, and I said, what's up with her? What's up with her? Just get my intel together. And people respect her.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. So when you sit across from her, she is going to come with something funky. When I say funky, something different, something engaging. But there's trust when you go off camera, too. So, but that's what the journalists got to be better than they were. It's not like it was when you just got the job because you were.
You could read good.
That kind of stuff, yeah, and you had that and that's what people wanted to
right.
Mass media. And now where they out niching this media thing, you got to have a real legit plug-in.
In fact, you do. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. We're going to talk a little bit about this NBA draft. We're going to talk about what is going on with the Diddy trial. There's a little bit of misinformation, but it is interesting nonetheless. So we'll get into the details of that when we come forward. News, traffic, and sports is up next.
Yeah, I hear people talking about who high, who now. Man, they don't know we finna kill the game this year. Killer, yay, come on.
Street mergers, I legislated the nerve. I never hated on murders premeditated. Absurd, I hesitated, observed. Cock is prey, hit you from a block away. Drinking sake on the Suzuki, we in Osaka Bay. Playing soccer, stupid, stay in the sucker's place. Plug your ace, take your girl, f*** her face. She dealing with killer, so you love her taste. She swallowing killer, cause she loved the taste. I got brought up with crooked kitchen orders that I'm cooking, but got caught up with the tricks and would've thought I went from Brooklyn. It get boring just looking. Did like Bill Cosby, pouring in the pudding.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. We're hearing from Black Congresswoman LaMonica McIver after she pleaded not guilty to federal charges that she interfered with federal authorities and their investigation on May 9th.
No matter what they put on their Twitter, we know that the facts are on my side, and we're going to be in court defending those.
McIver was there with several other black lawmakers, including Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, they say, to inspect that ICE facility. And we're following a developing story. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was rushed to the hospital early this morning. Reports say he was at the Senate gym when he said he was feeling lightheaded. Turns out he was dehydrated, but he didn't find that out until he got to the hospital. This comes as meteorologists say today is the last day of a harsh June heat wave for some parts of the U.S. The Mid-Atlantic and Southeast have to wait until Friday. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Burbank on the South 5, delays from Olive. You're on the brakes all the way to the 605, North 605, loading up from the 105 freeway and stretches to the 10. And City Terrace 10 eastbound, delays from City Terrace Drive and stretches all the way into Baldwin Park. It's also a tough drive in the Cajon Pass. 15 northbound from the 215 merge, heavy ahead to the 138.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA may have to do some soul-searching in the offseason about the increasing number of Achilles tendon injuries. 7 players suffered the devastating injury this season, including 3 high-profile stars that went down in the playoffs: Boston's Jason Tatum, Milwaukee's Damian Lillard, and Indiana's Tyrese Halliburton. Several medical experts interviewed for a story on ESPN.com attribute the torn Achilles tendons to overuse and accidental circumstances. The Oklahoma City Thunder won the NBA championship Sunday after playing 98 games in a 6-month span. Major League Baseball has confirmed plans to host the HBCU Swingman Classic on July 11th during All-Star Week in Atlanta. The Swingman Classic, an all-star game featuring HBCU players from around the country, gives the players a chance to show their skills in front of Major League scouts. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At the tone, please record your message.
You ready? Drop it! Mr. Tavis Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. Know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever-changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, baby. I've been looking at you all night. once the day becomes the night.
On a Wednesday. Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Here for all your trending topics and headlines. And a vibe setter. You know, I didn't tell you to get your snacks tonight, but you can still get your libation and get your mood started with this. Different type of vibe. Different type of snack.
Different type of snack.
Question.
Yes, Ed.
You know who this is, right?
I don't want to be wrong. I know who I think it is, but I'm not going to say.
Take a guess.
No. Tell me.
If I give you a hint.
Okay.
My birthday month.
October, November. October, London.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Okay. I'm like, but you're on the cusp, so I had to think about where exactly your birthday
Yeah, I'm
was.
October. But is he like the new version of Marvin Gaye?
Oh, that's far. We can't give him that yet.
No.
You're just talking about off of the vibe? Because that very much sounds like something off of Here, My Dear.
That's what I'm saying.
Sounds like a rip.
And a lot of his music is just, he sounds like a throwback.
I mean, it makes sense why Snoop would sign him. Snoop is a 70s baby.
100%.
Grew up in, Long Beach, listening to the old, the old OGs playing these oldies. Very much Art LeBeau. Shout out to him.
Hey, Royal Jenkins, he agrees with me.
October, London. I'm not saying he doesn't sound similar.
Okay.
I am just not going to say he's the new.
I didn't say he was.
It's good. I saw him in concert with the Maxwell.
Okay.
He was pretty good.
Got vocals?
Yeah.
I like that. I got to go see him live.
Yeah.
So, shout out to that, setting it off. See, I was thinking it might be October, but then I was like, I haven't listened to all of Leon's albums, so I don't really know. And I just didn't want to be wrong. Shout out to that, though. We like vibes. All right. Let's get into what is happening with the Diddy trial, because there's still a lot going on with that. We know that the prosecution and the defense rest their cases on Tuesday. Today, they were charging the jury. The jury was absent, which is basically the two sides having a conversation over the language that will be included in the document, the jury instructions that they will receive in order to cast their vote, right, on the paperwork for that. So, what has got everyone confused, upset, excited, unsure, is that the prosecution said that they will not pursue in attempted arson and attempted kidnapping claims that were theories presented as part of the racketeering conspiracy charge. To be clear, these were not official charges that he was charged with. No charges have been dropped. It is just, so to speak, the theory and the pursuant of this being considered when you are looking at these charges. They're asking for that portion not to be considered for the jury. This specifically revolves around Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant, that appeared on the stand and referenced being kidnapped by Pew Pew in LA and forced to go to Kid Cudi's house. The attempted arson is involving that, because most of that information was circumstantial, and they didn't want to confuse the jury. The prosecution didn't. So they are kind of removing that theory so as to streamline how the charges are viewed in order to help the jurors not be confused and give the verdict that they want. Some are saying, no, this shows that the prosecution has a weak case and it's crumbling. Now, we know that Diddy's defense team presented no witnesses, only submitted some additional context to some of the text and things that were included from the prosecution. But remember, the defense does not have to prove that Diddy is innocent. They only have to poke holes in what the prosecution puts forward, because if there is a 1% reasonable doubt, you cannot convict as guilty. So in charging the jury, which is, like I said, the two sides hashing out the language and verbiage that will appear on these forms and in these instructions, it comes down to phrasing, because the way that I present something to you just might alter your viewpoint on if this is yes, I did, or no, I didn't. You know, is it, are you going to do that? Yes. Are you going to do that? Yes. You know what I mean? There's a subtle difference. And so those are the things that are kind of happening in this line of thinking. So it's not that they dropped a charge, but they did kind of push to the side some things that they have put forth that they feel might confuse the jury, that ultimately there wasn't really any hardcore linking. It was circumstantial, it was hearsay, it was all of these things, but no direct links. So, you know, those are the type of things that can potentially be the difference between a guilty and a not guilty verdict. So that's where we're at to that. As far as that, closing arguments will begin with the prosecution tomorrow. As I said, both sides are expected to take 4 hours to complete their closing arguments, with hopefully the jury receiving the case officially by Friday and perhaps a quick verdict. So we're at the end, y'all. We'll have to see what happened. Andy, should we take the call or okay? We have Eric from Carson on the line. Welcome in, Eric. What is on your mind tonight? I know the Diddy trial, so what's good? What do you have to say?
What's up, Jill and
Damon?
What up, E?
And you left out, just to respectfully, aiding and abetting sex trafficking was
that's right.
The third. And I want to clarify that the prosecution is not doing anybody a favor. What they are doing is they overcharged, and they are removing the instructions for these three elements. And what they're trying to do is keep the jury from being confused so they won't acquit. And I don't appreciate the prosecution, and I'm Team Diddy, but I'm going to say this last thing. He's going to get some time, but I think what he's going to be found guilty of is bringing these escorts from
flying
another
across
state.
them state lines.
That's what they're going to get him on, and that's it.
I do think that he is going to sit down. I think that there's some things that might be a little bit of RICO in there. We'll have to see. I think it could go either way, but I would not be surprised if he does get time. I don't think that it is going to be the extended time a lot of people were expecting. Much like the trial itself, I think a lot of people were expecting a lot of superstar names and freaky things happening with all of these individuals, and it was nothing like that. And I think it disappointed a lot of people in some ways, just because they thought that there was going to be, instead of just really Diddy and these individuals that he was so-called dating, I think people expected a lot more freaky-deaky tricks and splits from everybody in the industry. And I think that has, changed a lot of people's idea about this. But I don't know.
Could I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
This is the last question for you and Damon. Why did the feds do this? What is this really about? I know, but I want to see what you guys think.
I mean, what do you want to say? It's because he was suing, is it Diageo? Do you think that that's why they let some of the protections? I don't know.
I got a question for Eric.
I think that I think ultimately Diddy put himself in this position. Do I think that he was overcharged? Absolutely. But he was doing a lot for a long time that kind of allowed him into the descent of this. And he was a drug addict, so he wasn't thinking straight. That's not in defense of. That is just what was happening. Go ahead.
Brother Eric.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for you. It obviously seems very unpopular to be in support of Diddy in this time. and it obviously sounds like you're in support of him. So I'm just kind of curious, where the support is coming from. Why you out of all? I'm sure there's other people that is in support of Diddy, but it just doesn't seem like the popular thing to do. And I'm just curious to know, why you feel that Diddy should be, free.
I don't live life to be popular, and so Diddy represents me. He's a black man. The only difference is I'm not a billionaire. And if they can take Diddy down, they can take me down, and I take that personal. And I don't think that they are being. The question is why are they doing this? And I think they're doing this because of that video. I think that's what fueled this whole fire. And I think Cassie's husband is behind the whole thing.
Eric, thank you for calling as always. We'll talk to you next time. All right, when we come forward, we're going to get all up in the business with this NBA draft and a little bit about what's going on in Cannes with Damon Haley. All up in the business next. You locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready for the hottest entertainment scoop in Los Angeles? She's bringing you exclusive interviews with today's biggest stars, behind-the-scenes Hollywood insights, and all the entertainment news you need to know. She's breaking down what's trending, what's ending, and what's just beginning in the world of entertainment. You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatallzearly.com. That's treatallzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Catch Prep is now enrolling for summer credit recovery in fall 2025. As South Los Angeles' top-performing high school in English, math, and college access, Catch Prep is welcoming all 9th through 12th graders to enroll now. Catch Prep offers a small, supportive, and safe learning environment to help all students succeed, so that all students feel valued, respected, and motivated to reach their full potential. For the past 20 years, Catch Prep has helped more students of color gain admission to top-tier universities, with our graduating seniors earning a total of $3 million in scholarships, more than any other school in Los Angeles. We are dedicated to helping all students turn your college dreams into reality. Catch Prep is now enrolling. Visit us online at catchhighschool.com or call 323-293-3917. Spaces limited. Please enroll now for summer credit recovery and fall 2025. Call 323-293-3917 or enroll today at catchhighschool.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So, Damon, the NBA draft is happening right now. We know that Cooper Flagg went number 1 to the Dallas Mavericks.
That he did.
Kyrie Irving recently opted out of his old contract to re-sign with them, saying that he felt good about the foundation that they were putting down there. And, you know, it's a lot happening, a lot surrounding Dallas, a lot surrounding Cooper Flagg and his hype. Can you get into a little bit about the brand of Cooper Flagg and where the Mavericks are sort of at? Shout out to Nico.
Shout out to Nico.
Shout out to Nico.
Shout out to
Come
Nico.
back of the year. I'm going to have to send that text.
Oh, you know that. So I'm happy for Nico, for one. Happy for the city of Dallas. I like Dallas. But I had to look back, and I was surprised. The last white American #1 draft pick, we wouldn't know. I don't know if Andy's a hoop head, but he wouldn't know. It was 2 years before Magic Johnson.
Wow.
So there has not been a #1
almost 50 years.
48 to be exact. It's been a half century before we've had a white American male the #1 draft pick in the United States. So his brand is potentially huge.
Is that big for basketball right now?
It is
as we're in
huge for
kind of a weird place?
Everybody that has money feels good about putting it on him. Why not? He's in Dallas. It's a big money state, right? He's a
Lots of good old boys.
He's an East Coast dude. So you got that. I mean, he should be huge, enormous. He signed with CAA. I don't know who's kind of handling that, but that is a story in and of itself. He's a unicorn, if you will. So his brand, if he outside of the hoop, if we thought Caitlin Clark stuff was huge, wait till this dude starts putting remotely up any numbers. Everybody's gonna love him. Everybody's gonna like him. Jersey sales, the whole nine, because it gives hope that a certain powerful segment of the United States can win in the
Great
game.
White Hope isn't just
I didn't want to say
great
that.
movie title or a concept of the past. It's a real thing.
I think
so.
Yeah, any diversity of sorts. When it comes to that, I mean, think about it.
It is diversity. The league is 80% black.
Mm-hmm. You think about, Larry Bird. He wasn't the #1 draft pick.
Morris Phillips was asking that, and I was like, no, he is not.
Who?
He asked, was Larry Bird when you mentioned the last
Magic Johnson
American-born?
Magic Johnson was #1 that year.
Wait, did they come out the same year?
They did.
Okay, yeah. You're right.
Because Bird won Rookie of the Year.
That's right.
Remember
Magic
they played in the Final Four.
Yeah.
So even him, and then even with All-Stars, we got to go back David Lee and Kevin Love.
Yeah, and that's a while ago.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of excitement in that space. He's going to be on ESPN even if he's hurt. He's going to be on ESPN. You have to show that guy. You have to showcase him. Because you think
I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you think because as of late, the NBA, the face of the NBA, I know we have the conversation, but the reality is, if you go by MVPs, the face of the NBA is foreign, whether black or white. You think about we've talked about this 5, 6 now, I guess, MVPs. They've all been, I believe, non-born descent of players. You have Jokic, you have Embiid, you have now Shea. Who else is in there? Giannis. Yeah,
the Greek freak, and then you still got Luka floating around.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of tough. There's a certain destruction, and guys will say it. If Matt Barnes, Gilbert, all these guys will say it's a destruction of how we're, our farm system, basketball, and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot better overseas. We knew that 20 years ago, if you were close to it. But this guy and being in Dallas and kind of close enough to the middle of the state, of the country, and all that kind of stuff, and went to Duke and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if I'm his agent, I'm making money right now. I'm making off-court money, no different than Caitlin's making off-court money. I'm shaking hands, kissing babies, and all I have to do is be Rookie of the Year.
Indeed, Andy.
And his last name is Flagg.
There you go.
Just drape him around the American flag. It's a wrap.
Yeah. But by all accounts, he's a great player. He didn't get there just because of color. We know that. So he's a great, phenomenal player.
Putting it down.
Shout out to Ron Harper because his son went #2. You know,
Okay.
Ron's a good
The OG.
LA, Clipper dude, LA dude, Lakers dude. Real, you know, he got rings and all that. But yeah, I think he's in a good position to do really, really well in Texas, and he's in a good situation. When you talk about Kyrie and AD, 2 former number 1 picks in Kyrie and AD, 2 champions in Kyrie and AD. He's coming for a number 1 pick to go to a great team like that.
And with your team president, formerly having worked with Kobe Bryant.
Oh yeah, he's got
There's a lot
everything.
there.
Oh, not to mention J Kidd.
Yeah.
You know, and we can't forget, you know, Mike's down there too, Michael Finley. So he is in a great, for a number 1 pick, he's in a great situation.
Okay, you got like 35 seconds. Break down what's happening in Cannes with the influencers.
Taking over. It's not a film festival anymore because we're not really into films. We're into streaming. We're into short form content. We're into branded entertainment, etc. So it's changed the whole complexity, and it's changed the whole complexion, and it's changed the whole commerce modeling around Cannes Film Festival. So it's not even a film festival. It's where people go over there to hang out and cut deals.
So we'll have to get more into that next time. As always, we appreciate you, Damon, from checking in. Find him on social media at Damon Haley. I, of course, am Jill Munroe. Catch me each and every Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. right here live on KBLA Talk 1580. Coming up next is the voice of reason, Zoe Williams. I'll get at you guys tomorrow.